Welcome to Poetic Syntax. That's what we're actually going to look at today, which are three types of poetic devices that deal with syntax, which are first is order, punctuation, and parts of speech. So what you're going to have to do is fill out the what it does column on your chart. You might want to also make some notes because I will kind of point and stress about some things that are important. And then you're going to want to, copy the annotations on dirge without music. Make sure that you add the annotations down. And while I'm not going to write everything that I say down, you're going to want to make sure you take some notes about the what it does, because that's what we're thinking about. Okay, first of all, we're going to get started by talking about each technique. Caesura is a fun term because it's Latin. So if you have any experience in Latin, you've heard of this word. And it's a hard C because it's Latin. It is an internal pause in the poem that actually is marked by a punctuation mark. So this is the kind that is punctuation. If you see a comma, a dash, a semicolon, just about any punctuation mark in the middle of a line, so not at the end, in the middle, then you found caesura. What you're looking at is the fact that it creates a pause in the rhythm, and you're going to look and for your analysis is how do these two parts connect to each other. The next punctuation device is enjambment, and that if caesura slows it down because there's punctuation marks, enjambment does the opposite. It connects two separate lines by eliminating the punctuation mark. So there is no pause, it becomes a continuous idea. So then your job is to discern how the two parts fit together. Our next sets are devices of order. So two devices of order. The first is inversion, and the second is nominal stresses. Inversion is just that. You're going to look at the subject-verb agreement, adjective placement, and you're looking for something that is an unnatural syntactical organization. So what you will do is look for the symbolic weight of the words, and that goes the same with nominal stresses. All that means is there's a series of nouns that offer some sort of importance, and you're looking at instead of offering verbs and action in the poem, the speaker, the poet, is focused more on images and concrete images, so it's more conceptual. And again, you're looking for symbolism. Now we're looking at devices regarding parts of speech. And you have apostrophe, which is whenever the speaker addresses an inanimate object in which something that cannot talk back to them, a deceased person, in a conversational manner. And again, you're looking at nouns, so this is kind of, but it's not a nominal stress. You're looking for something that is not there. It creates a metaphor and affects the tone. And then another part of speech is transitive and intransitive verbs. So I've asked you to look at lots of nouns. You're looking at verbs too. So you're going to want to look at interesting verbal constructions and break down how the relationship between the verb and the nouns contribute to the meaning. Basically, look and see when is there a direct object, is there a series of verbs, when is it a lot of intransitive verbs, and that's actually going to be an example that we'll look at in a second. Okay. So we've already started reading dirge without music. Last time you've looked, or today actually, and you looked at the breaks and the tonal shifts of the poem. So what you're going to look at now is all the syntax devices, just the syntax devices. Okay. So when we get started, I like us to get started by, and I'm going to kind of mark some of the stuff in green because I like green. Let's start with noticing caesura. It is one of the easiest things to see. So we're going to see this in the second line. So the first line is, I am not resigned to be shutting away the lonely hearts in the hard ground. And then it stops. So it is, and so it will be, so it has been, time out of mind. So I love the stops here in the caesura. And if you remember, I said that you're supposed to look and see what the two parts, or in this case, three, how they are related to each other because we have a break. So we have the so it is, and so it will be, and so it has been. If you notice, we have a change in tense. We go from present tense, future tense, and then somehow, oddly enough, we go into the past tense. And that would be something to think about in consideration with this idea of lost loves, and we've talked about that with the end of the poem. One more caesura just for fun to practice with: lovers and thinkers into the earth with you. You get that comma break there, focusing on the lovers and thinkers, and then separating that from the into the earth. So if it's this idea of death, lovers and thinkers, they might be together at one point, but they will also be together into this idea of death. Okay. Um, Caesura is easy to notice, and so is enjambment. And you're just going to have to deal with my skills. Okay, so we have elegant and curled is the blossom. So if you notice that we talked last time we read this poem of there's a shift with the nature imagery, and we have elegant and curled is the blossom. I like that blending of the elegant and curled with the blossom because it um, separates but then puts together what the possibilities of the blossom are. And then we get later fragrant, but we'll talk about that later. Another enjambment, we have grave, gently they go, the beautiful and the tender, the kind. Okay, so we have this lovely grave and gently they go, connecting the two lines from and showing a juxtaposition, a contrast between grave, which is death, and beautiful, tender, and kind. And that's pretty interesting, I think. Okay, so inversion is all over this poem, and I'm sure you can find more examples than what I'm going to talk about. Um, but let's actually start with. Um, there we'll just go to the ending one. Quietly they go, gently they go. So that those are both examples of inversion. Um, what you'll want to notice is that it should be they go gently, they go quietly. But by placing the adverb in front of the out of order, because we're inverting the order, like by definition, inversion, we get a stress and a weight on gently and quietly, which then offers some symbolism. And I'm going to challenge you tomorrow to see if you can think of what that symbolism might be. Okay. Nominal stresses. Um, if you notice, there are a lot of parts in this poem where it's just like right here, formula, those are nouns, phrase. Um, honest look, she does this a lot in this poem. Honest look, laughter, love, and more precious. I love that. The light in your eyes. Actually, let's look at this whole line. More precious was the light in your eyes than all the roses in the world. Because we have another element of inversion with the more precious was a light in your eyes. And we also have the punctuation created through the nominal stress of your eyes. So by placing the eyes out of order, it adds a nominal stress to this concept of love because, it's a love poem. Okay. Apostrophe is the only thing that does not exist here. However, you can know that apostrophe will happen if they say like, "Oh this, oh that, oh love." She just doesn't do that. You, she's not talking to anyone who's dead. I can't even make that stretch. So don't make a stretch for apostrophe. You'll know it when you see it. But let's look at this. But I do not approve, and I am not resigned. Now, with that, we have the intransitive verbs. Yes, there's missed it, but a lovely Kaisera right here. But I wanted to talk about the intransitive verb. I do not approve, I am not resigned. You don't need a direct object with those two verbs, which then adds a stopping point, which parallels the end of the poem, but then also the conclusion of her idea that love has passed her, it has gone, she's not okay with it. Ironically, though, it ends a nice like call to action of a change of tone, a tone of power, which contrasts a lot of this idea of death and lost love. Okay, did I find everything? Absolutely not. There's always more to find. And we were just looking at syntax. There's always more, so I want you to remember that. But more importantly, always connect what you find to some sort of idea of meaning. Okay, see you guys tomorrow.